Yo, right here in the small box, right here in the small box. Welcome back to Single Seater Reactions only on the Flexi Mind Network. I'm the original Anomaly. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this video. So we got an abaandpreach video. Now, I ain't gonna lie, this is a long time coming because I've been watching these guys. Okay, I'm the kind of YouTuber that's been watching all the popular shit, but I've just never been reacting. I'm gonna keep it a band with y'all. Now, this is a long time coming because I've been watching these dudes. I ain't gonna hold you. And shout out Canada type shit. But, like, bro, like, these guys are actually knowledgeable in what they talk about. And I actually learned some things from these dudes. How to move, how to act, you know, how to talk, all that. Like, I actually learned some shit. You know? So, I'm glad that they dropped something that I can react to. Of course, I could react to any of their videos. But I'm choosing today. Okay, so I'm choosing today to react to this video. Are comics and podcasts as political tools now? Me personally, I 100% agree because those guys get to markets that politicians cannot get to. Because when it comes down to voting, like for the presidential election in America, with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, they need to get into those spaces, including radio. You got to include radio in there too. Because on the radio, especially the Breakfast Club, for example, that's a high market. There's a ton of people listening. Their audience is huge, right? Same thing for comedians, like that one comedian that said a lot of controversial shit like earlier today. And for podcasters like Joe Rogan, there was that time on the Joe Budden podcast where they had like Anthony Fauci call in and they had a conversation with him. That was crazy because I never expected them to get that because that's a hip-hop platform. But I don't want to speak too much at the top. Let's just get into this. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, like I said before. And we're going to dive right into this abaandpreach video. Let's go.
All right. Next topic.
All right. We're rolling. Good to see you, sir. Here we go.
Madam Vice President, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Yeah, but your thing is going really great. My son's a big fan of yours, Baron.
Madam Vice President, glad to have you here. Ready to bring the funk?
I'm trying.
Ready to bring the funk?
You're sitting down with Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you so much.
That's so crazy.
I remember when I got on YouTube and I was very excited over the last like 8 or 9 years when I started hearing about independent media. Comedians, podcasters, news people letting their own individual platforms to essentially be free from the chains of advertisement.
Yeah.
And as a result of being free from the chains of advertisement, they would be able to say the vast majority of what they wanted or be as unfiltered as possible.
Yes.
I am now convinced that comedians and podcasters are just political tools, like everybody. I no longer think there's that same separation between mainstream media and independent media like I used to. I don't think that's true for all of them, but a good majority of them. And let me give...
I have something to say for that because the time when all these things started, with YouTube started, with Twitch started, with Kick, when all those things started, all those streaming platforms started, that was in a time where it's like they actually were trying to free speech in a sense, right? Of course, there was monetization somewhat at that time, but like saying things on the internet, you were a little free. Like, think about YouTube back in the day with all the elites, all the legends from like way back when YouTube first started, like what, 2007, 2006, something like that. Think about all those videos back in the day and how like highly racist, how like the jokes were like dark. Like, think about all that, like, to see it now. And I already know the reason why it's like this. And so to see it now is just like, it's completely flipped. It's pretty much like you're just watching TV all over again because now you have the advertisers investing money into YouTubers, into streamers. And it's just like, since they're here and since they're giving their money, YouTube likes that, right? YouTube is of course doing it, and your buttons on side. YouTube is doing this for, of course, money at the end of the day. Now, the people that they hired, this is the reason why. The people that they hired for today is the reason why all these platforms are like this. Because they hired all these people in the sense of, you're here to help us gain as much money as we can get So you have to go through YouTube, scour everything, go on Twitch, scour everything, hire people that can code to make algorithms where it flags people whenever this happens, whenever that happens. So all these people are hired to maintain the quality of life in YouTube so it pleases the advertisers. That's what I think personally. If you think something else, let me know in the comments. But that's what I think right now. But let's get into this.
I'll give you an example. We always talked about how, we do these platforms so we can say whatever we want. And now with this election cycle, everyone is being careful about what they say during interviews, be it Trump, be it Kamala, call her daddy or whatever. And they're doing what essentially is like puff pieces, right? Having these people on, giving them soft questions, never checking them on their record, never fact checking none of it, just letting them yap about whatever they want. And the reason they're doing this is not because that's who they are. The reason they're doing this is because they would lose access to this interview. So I'm like, you guys spend all this time whining about mainstream media being so fake because of advertisers, but y'all doing the same thing so you don't lose access to these powerful people, to these influential people. How is that any different? Yeah, in the context of watching Kamala Harris do the Call Her Daddy podcast, watching Trump do Rogan or Flagrant or Theo Von stuff, and just watching all these different things, I don't think these types of interviews are bad in a vacuum. What I don't like is that now politicians are able to just jump around, do a bunch of interviews where they're asked softball questions and only do those types of interviews. Why is it that world-renowned journalists are not the ones who are having as much access to these people, right? Even if they're independent, okay? Why are they not getting access, but someone like Rogan is? And the reason being, Trump knows he's going to go Rogan, and it's going to go well for him because he just really has to sell his personality. Even though there's questions about his record, even though there's questions about his flip-flopping on certain things, those never are going to come up. So he knows he can go on here and do really well for himself and come out great. And I know this is true because Rogan said so himself.
And by the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time. I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him.
The night is still young. We'll see.
If I have him on, the night is still young?
Yeah.
You think I'll have him on?
I think you'll have him on.
Really? Why do you think that?
Money.
Because you'll have Putin on?
And I think you had like people like Kanye on, for example, and you had a great conversation with him.
But Kanye's an artist. But Kanye doing well or not doing well doesn't change the course of our country.
Yeah, but do you really bear the responsibility of the course of our country based on a conversation?
I think you can revitalize and rehabilitate someone's image in a way that is pretty shocking. Look at the way people look at Alex Jones now, because Alex Jones has been on my podcast a few times.
Listen, I watched Joe Rogan. Well, I'm 34 now. I used to watch it when I was 19.
Damn.
So you have to understand, 15 years ago, I used to watch Joe Rogan clips all the time.
That's like me and Joe Budden, because I've been watching Joe Budden since that old basement when they were all crowded together by that one couch. God damn, bro.
When it used to be like a split screen. It would be three people talking. It would be like Brian Redband, it'd be Joe Rogan, and some of you are cringing right now. You have to understand.
God, 12 years ago was crazy.
His podcast feel was completely different. His talks with Duncan Trussell were some of the best episodes. Now people watch for different reasons. The audience has gone in a different place. Joe's gone in a different place, and I don't watch nearly as much. But here's one of the best reflections Joe can have, and it is what made me really like him when I first saw him. He's right. I hear comics say all the time, like, oh, why are people acting like we're influencing the election? Why are people acting like we have all this influence and we're changing things? Even Lex Friedman said that. And I'm like, well, why do you think these politicians want to go on these platforms? If it's not influential, it has no merit, why do they want to get on there? Why are so many of the public demanding and asking for this thing to happen? Why is it that brands come to you and pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise their product for 1 minute if you have no influence over your audience? Why is it that audiences will shell out thousands of dollars for meet and greets, but you have no influence over it? When people say this, they think just because they're kikiing and laughing on this thing, they have no influence. No. When people spend hours of their day on a regular basis watching you, they build an attachment. They start trusting you. They take your opinions indifferently. They start to actually grab your opinions and repeat them in real life. You have a tremendous amount of influence, and Joe's no different. Now, if Joe just had a change of heart and he says, I think it's worth,
because of that influence that they have with their audience, that's when advertisers, politicians, and anything in between will take advantage of that, give you thousands of dollars, like he said, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and change your narrative. Meaning that if you are the right person for the job, you can be bought. That's crazy. That's crazy, but that's the world we're in today. And for this to go back to what it was when YouTube first started, that has to make money. Meaning that if you want this to happen, you have to flip the script on the whole world. That's not possible. So for this to end, if people want this to end, which to be honest, it's not going to happen because everybody is here to chase a check. We're all chasing checks. So even if you don't want this to happen anymore, I don't even think there's a new solution to this, because the only way to get a proper solution is if you change the mindset of the whole world. That's the only way. That's so crazy.
worth it because Trump is the right candidate and I want it. That's fine. But anyone who's pretending like these things are just jokes and we're just here to talk, no. You guys are also here to serve as a political platform for these people during an election season. There's a reason why people are saying, whoa, Trump went on Rogan. He's definitely going to win now. Why? Because they're recognizing the effect. But at the same time, I have these people trying to convince me it's just jokes, bro. We're just talking. That's not true.
It's
not true. You're not in a comedy club roasting Trump while he's there. That's not what's happening. You guys are having a substantial conversation where you're changing the perception people have. And if you go read those comments, you'll be like, yo, I didn't know Trump was like this. I didn't know what's her name was like this. I really liked her this. It made me closer. And
this is why research and homework is actually important, because if you don't take the time to do that kind of research or homework, this is where you get convinced, because I don't want to say brainwashed. You're going to get convinced. You're going to get swayed. The way you think is going to get changed. This is how marketers get into your head, because you're changing the narrative. Like literally in marketing, it's just, you're always creating narratives to change how people think. That's why marketing is dangerous. But at the same time, marketing is the most powerful tool in the world. Just got to know how to use it.
Whether you like it or not, most people, when they vote, they don't really vote on policies nearly as much as people would like.
They vote on likability.
Based off how the person makes them feel.
Yes.
How likable they are. So, yeah, these things have a huge influence.
We are the new media.
Facts.
The podcast,
We are actually the new media, and that's crazy. This is why when it comes to owning your own power, owning your own brand, you really have to put into work. For to make people that care about your shit, you really got to put into work, because you're going up pretty much against the whole world almost when you're on YouTube, when you're on Twitch, when you're on Kick, and any of these other like streaming platforms or like video uploading platforms. It's crazy. So you really have to put in the work on these things. Like, it's nuts. But like, even if you put in the work now, you built up this narrative for all these years. All it takes is a 6-figure check to take that away from you. And now you're here stuck because now you have two narratives. This narrative gave you this amount of money, but this narrative that people bought from you got you this amount of money. Now you have to figure out which one is more meaningful. Is this narrative more meaningful, or is my original narrative more meaningful? And for a majority of the people on YouTube, that's when they switch up. Because when they see that check come in, they want another one. They want another one. They want another one. And there's no way to fight it, because we all need money, right? Money. Okay, they say money is the root of all evil. It's not. Money is not the root of all evil. Sorry, money is not the root of all evil. It's greed. Greed is the root of all evil. You can always get money. Don't get it twisted. But once you develop that greed, that greediness, that's when problems start to kick in. And it applies to anything and everything on this planet. Think about it. Like, let's keep it easy. Let's make it easy. Bodybuilder. You're chasing a new PR. You're chasing a new, like, physique, wider muscle mass or anything like that. You're chasing another competition to win. It's kind of greed, because eventually you're going to start juicing. You know, you're going to be starting taking steroids or finding ways where you can hide steroids and continue to take that and then just be great as the person that you are. But it's a form of greed. Same thing for athletes. Look at Tom Brady. Like, it took him a while to retire because he was still chasing another ring, right? Look at Jordan, or not Jordan, sorry, LeBron. LeBron's playing with his son. He set a goal saying that he wanted to play with his son. That's kind of selfish, because look at the family. The family wants to relax. The family doesn't always want to be in the media, right? But because his name is LeBron James and he's think about it. You have a billionaire athlete that just got his son into the NBA, and now he's playing alongside his son. It does look good, yes, but that's still a form of greed. He's hungry. He has the drive. He really wanted to make this happen, and now that he's here, he's probably going to wait for his next son to come. Crazy.
Commentary, all that, that's the new media. It is. So whenever you go, politician basically wants to be likable. It's a popularity contest. So if that politician goes on the podcast just to talk while they're in election, they seem more likable. It ain't even about the views. It ain't I got nothing to do about the views or whatever at some point. It's just how you like them better. So of course the image changes. Because you look at a politician a politician looks like a robot. What is being said about politicians? Yes. They're puppets, they're robots, there's just, they're not humane, and when you see a politician for once, just taking the script off, just having a normal conversation, you're like, God damn, I really didn't. That's what you're changing your views on that politician because he looks more humane, and that's the game. Yes, I'm gonna go on TV and all the journalistic outlets to talk about my curriculum and all the things that I have and the questions that I have about what I want to do running and stuff. But when I go onto a podcast, you're looking at the humane side, and I think that's what gets to people. Yep. People are disengaged from politicians because they really don't look humane. You ask them a question, they can't answer the question straightforward. They always have a script and stuff. They always have something or like a way to escape the question. Now when they go on these platforms, you look at the human side. You don't even think about whatever they add to their curriculum. You don't even think about all of that anymore. You see, oh wow, that person is a likable human.
And you guys are more trusted than the average news anchor, than the average independent journalist. Even though those people are going to be generally more equipped to get to the bottom of whether or not this person's record's any good.
That made me think, because one thing I realized is that what he said about the news anchors, that we're the new news anchors, because when you have these podcasts, when you have YouTube, when you have like anything like that of the sort, we're the ones that they're trying to sell to now. Meaning that you're skipping the media outlets and you're going straight to the source. It's the same thing in the music industry. A lot of people are skipping the labels and promoting straight to the source, which is why the labels didn't like what Tory Lanez did, because he's an independent artist. He cracked the code with the NFTs and making an NFT album, selling art and music at the same time. Two of the four pillars of hip hop, mind you, using the formula of hip hop, art, and music. Taking those two forms of hip hop, skipping the label, and selling it for $1 while using what is hot at the time, which is NFTs. Sell it for $1. Why is this special? Because you can sell this piece of art and make way more money. Some people make 10K times on top of that dollar. 10,000 times over that dollar. 100,000. Like, I'm not saying 6 figures, but definitely 5 figures. So, like, that's the formula for today. Is to skip the media outlets and go straight to the audience, because all these people at the top, they need the audience, and they're gonna find any way to get to the audience. The news channels are getting old because I could be a news channel now. It's crazy how these things are happening, and you have to adjust. You have to adjust, because if not, you're gonna get left behind. That's how these things work. You're constantly keeping up with the Joneses. That's how it be.
Whether or not this person performs under pressure. Instead, we're now hearing about fucking whale depression and whatever the fuck it is. It's like, what? Even watching Kamala on Call Her Daddy, it's like, what are these questions? It doesn't matter what you intended. What is the actual effect of what you're doing? If folks want to do this thing and have these conversations with these politicians, fine. But you have to hold their feet to the fire to some degree. Okay? And if you're not going to, then we need to at least ensure that they're going to have other opportunities to have their feet held to the fire. But when it's just a bunch of puff pieces, when most of the landscape is just 3 hours of, I'm just going to talk, rather than 3 hours of, I'm going to answer to what my record is, why I voted on this bill at this time that disadvantaged these people, why I voted for this when I said I was going to do that. We don't get 3 hours of that. We never will. Why? Because what gets more votes nowadays is just sitting there and talking about how I feel about X, Y, and Z.
But also, I'm not well versed enough politically to know all of the corruption that's been alleged, and to understand what the whole Russiagate stuff, what's real. Like, if you really want to do that correctly, it's something that I would have to research for a long time, and to really, and I don't have that kind of time.
I think I've been having this reckoning lately, but more and more I feel reassured now that I'm seeing Tony Hinchcliffe go to Madison Square Garden during a Trump rally and do his fucking set. And people are like, listen, Puerto Ricans everywhere are losing their mind, which,
Understandable.
right before a vote is crazy. And if you guys haven't seen the comment, this is it.
A lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys...
That's what I was talking about.
Literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Understandably.
And this is not out of context. I listened to the full thing. There is no context that really makes this joke better or whatever it is. And people are running around saying, well, he's a comedian. It's just a joke. You're another political tool. You're at a political rally, okay? And you're not doing a regular set. You're doing a set.
If a black comedian did that, it'll be a hell of a problem for him. Cancel comedy. Yeah, I remember those days. Bullshit.
And if you guys don't watch the whole thing, I watched the whole thing. All of the jokes perfectly align with MAGA values. There was no jokes aimed at Republicans. There was no jokes really aimed at Trump to like mock him. No, they were all like anti-immigrant, pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian, anti-California, pro-Texas. Jokes are just jokes, apparently. But at the same time, your whole set perfectly aligns with the ideal humor of a Trump fan.
Which is fine. But don't make it past that. I don't. Stop. Just. I didn't know. It's just no.
Oh yeah. If you watch the whole Tony Hinchcliffe set, if you listen to it towards the end, he just starts repeating Trump slogans.
Let's close it out and let's make speech free again, make America healthy again. God bless New York, God bless America, let's make it great again. I love you, thank you, welcome.
Not in a joking set, he just repeats them. So I'm like, how is your set made for jokes, but at the end of it, you're just doing a political advertisement? Is it really just jokes?
Nah.
It's not.
What is independent media really? Independent media was the idea was that you were going to be free from all this influence.
Which you're not.
Are they not just dependent on it?
Yeah.
When they're cutting what they want to say just to be able to have access to people?
You're the same thing, but just the same but diff.
And this is the thing. Nobody can have all these kinds of mainstream guests on consistently and have their moniker of independence. Of noticing comics being very buddy-buddy with every right-wing personality on the planet and softballing all the interviews and softballing all the interactions. What is the point of being given the right to joke about anything when powerful people come by, you don't joke anymore. Doesn't that strike you as a bit cowardly?
No.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay, go for it.
Just because of the list of things that they're going to tell you not to talk about. Like, there's the list of the PR list and stuff like that. So if you want to carry your interview, you have the choice. You either don't have an interview at all and you spend all this time with the connects and everything to have the interview, or just go with the flow of that interview.
But essentially what you're getting at is some compromise may be acceptable because it's leading to this outcome. What I'm saying is the compromise that they're making, they're only making it in front of powerful people. What is the point of demanding free speech? What is the point of demanding the right to be able to joke about everything if it's only going to be used and waged against weaker people? If it's only going to be used against people who really can't harm you? Then that's the part that makes me look like, what the fuck are we doing? It's to be able to joke against trans people? Is that what we got this shit for? I mean, I don't know. I was just so excited because at the advent of independent media, it really looked like such a cool time. Watching people talk about psychedelics, talk about relationships in an unfiltered manner, talk about men's issues, and not have to worry about it. I felt it was so refreshing to be able to hear topics I would never hear on television or mainstream media. That's what I loved about independent media. But now when I'm looking at it, it's just like, oh, okay, this thing has gotten so big that independent media is just media now. There is no independence. You are dependent. You're dependent on Spotify for your shit. You're dependent on your Patreon subs. You're dependent on the guests that you need to interview, the big name people. There is no independence. Honestly, I'm not even certain if I could feel like there's that much of a difference now between mainstream media and these media type personalities.
But when they say that this is independent, they're really talking about it's unorthodox. Yeah. It's not that, but it really is.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's just we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But in a different manner. But it's really just the same thing at the end of the day. The end result is the same thing. You still have bosses that you have to go by. You still have to review your advertisement through something. It's the same thing.
Hey, you want to hear the fucked up part? The bosses for independent media aren't necessarily bosses. Sometimes it's the guests, sometimes it's the audience.
Sometimes.
Because you go to the comments section and the audience is not happy with what you're doing, so you start changing the tone of what you say or the kind of people you interview. I'm gonna ask a question.
That's so crazy. Think about it. For YouTube's an easy example. All these videos that you're doing, all these videos that you're making, it's for you guys. It's literally for you guys. Because half the time we could be doing things for ourselves. We don't get the views. We don't get the likes. We get 0 subscriptions from it. It makes us want to delete the video because of the low numbers that are on it. But that's how it is. So as we do more things for you, it kind of changes us in a way where it's like, this is how we thought things were going to work, but this is how it's going to work now because of the audience that we're building off of what we're doing. The world is so wicked, bro. It's so wicked. It's so wicked. I don't even know what else to say. Let's finish out the video.
Question to you guys. And what I'm saying wrong? Do you guys feel like independent media is independent in the way that they present it?
Yes.
I'd love to hear what you guys think. And also another thing I'll say, and this is probably my last point. All this talk about independence, but do you not notice that the whole vast majority of that independent sphere, everybody gets their cues from Rogan? But I just think this is an interesting topic. I would love to hear what you guys think about independent media, about these kinds of things that are happening now. Are comedians and podcasters just be, new types of political tools? We'd love to hear you. But in my experience, I feel like everyone's very partisan, and honestly, it's mainstream media with some more swearing and some edgier topics. That's what I see independent media as. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Anything else?
Different, but same.
Huh?
Crazy. I don't even know what else to say. I think I laid out all the points that I had. Yeah, we are political tools. Well, the ones that are popular, they're political tools, but y'all should get the point. Whew. Either way, we're at the end of the video. This is Single Seater Reactions. I'm the original Anomaly. This is the Flexing Mind Network. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, Do you think politicians are using podcasters and comedians as political tools? Let me know. Anyway, take care, be well, be safe, be true, be you. Peace. Man, these niggas know how to talk, man. Jesus.